Welcome to day 2 of Stitches of Summer. So now we're moving on to a couple more line based stitches. Now first I'm going to do one that's not a stitch that's actually on its own, but it's a way of adding to a stitch. So I've got here my running stitch, so if I start with that. Now this is called interlacing, which sounds like what it is essentially. So you come up behind your stitch, and then with the back of your needle you thread underneath and put it through, and the other way, and you just tuck your stitch, your thread, behind your line of stitching. And this works on back stitch or running stitch. You just need a straight line of stitching. Now interlacing is a really simple way of adding more colour to your design, or just adding thickness to your stitching. So you can go, ooh. I have to have a knot in every video. Right, so you can go just the once, or you can just double back and go the other way as well. Now you could use 2 colours if you wanted to. So that's interlacing, where you just add some contrast behind essentially a line of stitching. So next one is similar. So again you come up behind a line of stitching, and again you're using the back of your needle, so you're not actually going through the fabric on this one. You're just coming down and around. So again, down and around. This is whipping. Now this you can again use 2 colours. You can do one colour in one direction and one colour in the other, and I'll show you something similar to that at a later date. Number 7 is a stitch I didn't even know had a name. I just did it because it looked nice. So you start with a single line of stitches, and then you come in between those stitches with a contrasting or complementary colour. So it's just a basic running stitch really. You can do a version of this with a back stitch, with a split, or a stem stitch. So entirely up to you. This one, according to the book, is called a Holbein. So next one is a coral stitch. Now I'm coming from the right because it's easier for me. So you need to have the thread kind of looped around your fingers. So stab in a stitch, and then come back up a millimetre away inside the loop of your thread, and then pull the thread through like that. So I'll show you again. Stab in and then come back up inside the loop of thread and then pull through. So this one's called the coral stitch. It leaves a nice raised pattern. So the next stitch is called a Palestrina. So again, starting from the back, and I find it easier to turn this direction. So I'm bringing the needle in to the left of my line and through, and then coming up to the right. You can see here onto the right of my stitch, and then tucking behind. Is that right? What am I thinking of? Looping twice. Okay. Loop and loop, loop and loop. Okay. So this last stitch for today is called Palestrina, and I'm bringing 1, 2, 3. So this last stitch is called Palestrina, apparently, according to the book, although there are some other things that look a bit similar to this one, so I'm going with that for the minute. So I've turned my my work this way because it's easier to work vertical. So if you come in with your needle to the left of your line by a couple of millimetres, stab through, and then come back up a millimetre or so to the right of the line, like that. See how clear that's come out on the screen? And then go underneath, stitch, and then underneath the loop that you've just made, like that. So just tuck that under and just pull that through. It's a little bit of a fiddly on this. So come in to the left, pull it through, come up to the right, tuck under the stitch, and then loop between the two stitches, like that. So you create a knot on a line.